Every event within his life has led to this moment. Will he rise or crumble under the pressure of this intense match? The outcome here will change everything going forward. Yoichi Isagi has the chance to take the world of football head on. So what will he do? What if Yoichi Isagi never lost his original ego?
Get that paper, told that Glock, that's how we live. Yeah, my life's a game, I pray I don't get killed. They can't believe I got the guap, this shit for real. Can't accept the fact my brother gone, I wanna kill. Yeah, I can't go for that shit don't sit right. Instead of cabin to the old nigga, I know what you live like. Ain't worried about all, just fuck these hoes and live life. I grown the drill, I'm smart enough, you gotta know how to kill.
Beginning at his first year of junior high, Isagi enters a new school alone, not knowing anyone. His classes seemed to be very easy, as the only thing on his mind was playing football. Just how much more time until this day is over? I'm going to die of boredom. Isagi, while staring out of the window, is approached by a group of boys. Yo, your name is Isagi, right? You want to come hang out with us? Isagi looks back at them and then back out of the window, not saying anything. I didn't come here to make friends. I came here because I want to break all the records at this school. Isagi would soon leave the classroom at the end of the day, heading into the school's gym to work out, being found by the basketball team as they would ask him to join, but he declined their offer as well. Isagi turned back to them. Where's the football club? Some of the students then tell them that football will start next month, so he begins preparing until then. Focusing on his endurance and his shot selection during this time, he needs to find a way to level up. And just what could that be? What was a skill separating him from the world-class players besides experience? There's the key component that he has to be missing. And when reviewing the film of the last World Cup, Isagi noticed that Noel Noah was always watching the ball, even when he didn't have it, or the play didn't involve him at all. His father, who was helping clean the kitchen, asked what he saw. Isagi restates that he's watching everything just like he is. But why? His father then places a hand on his shoulder. Well, my son, the world revolves around you because you view it through your own eyes. But each and every person on earth has their own perspectives and experiences. Suddenly, the puzzle pieces form around our protagonist as he thinks of every moment in his life up until now and how it affects his playstyle. But then, he creates a scenario using two figures. Each had their own experiences and playstyles. But if one was able to read the entire field, not just what's in front of him, they will be more successful. Isagi thanks his father and uses this to his advantage, preparing for his first season at his new school, as soon tryouts would arrive, and Isagi, as well as many other students, had appeared. They go through the normal test until they get to a scrimmage that they have at the end. Isagi is placed at the striker position, and it begins. Passing the ball back, he runs ahead, and now, we have to take everything from his perspective. Good. It seems that my teammates are working the ball up the midfield. The defense here seems weak, so I'll go this way and oppose them. Doing this allows Isagi to enter free space where some of his teammates would shift their attention towards him. One sends a lifted pass that floats in the air towards Isagi. Great. It's just like I envisioned. I just need to add the final pieces. First, Isagi traps the ball with his chest and then drops down, running ahead. The coaches note his incredible speed and his dribbling as Isagi maneuvers through the field, getting himself open once again. One-on-one with the keeper, but his teammate is open. Isagi doesn't even turn to him as he would call out for the ball. It's now or never. I want to win. So here it is. This is my key to winning. Performing his first direct shot to score the goal, Isagi looks ahead while smiling because it went in, clenching his fist and yelling, "That was just enough, but I'll need to improve even more to win." These two practice squads go back and forth until it came down to one final play, as Isagi's team has the ball and they look to go upfield with it. The clashing from both sides causes it to go out of bounds, and a corner kick will be the deciding factor. Well, with this being the corner kick, the coaches actually decide to make Isagi take it instead. He then goes through his mind, thinking of everything that he could do. He looks for the tallest person on his team and sees him, but the keeper was focusing on him. Throughout his mind, Isagi can see everything that's happening, causing him to run into the ball, hitting it with immense force. The ball gracefully lifts into the air, and the players around would jump to try to head it into the goal. And still, it continues to float over their heads, hitting the back post before ricocheting into the net. Isagi shouts out in excitement with his team running over it, as some would call him insane, while others state that was pure luck. Isagi would smile, regardless, as his corner kick decided the match, making the team because of his efforts, and soon the season began. In his junior high football career, Isagi was talented, but somewhat a selfish player. His ego often got in the way of his teamwork, as he preferred to showcase his individual talents and skills instead of work with his teammates, who he believed didn't work as hard as him, so didn't deserve the ball or any glory within their matches. Isagi's playstyle revolved around taking risks, and these risks were oftentimes glimpses into his ego as he adapted on the fly, and his skills could be on full display now as we were going into one of their more important rival matches, as Isagi's team found themselves down by 2 goals with not much time left, as the coaches began to draw up some game plans when Isagi pointed out something very crucial. His teammates weren't passing him the ball when they needed to. When the coaches asked why, they stated that Isagi wouldn't pass it back as he seeked his own glory. Isagi looked at them, lowering his gaze. "I need all of you to help me if we want to win. Just trust me, that's all I'm asking." Isagi then enters the game with a brand new way of thinking. Right here is where I'll choose to evolve to a new level. He began focusing on developing his spatial awareness, trying to see the bigger picture of the game rather than just his own actions. Gradually, this shift in perspective led to unlocking his own unique metavision early on, an extraordinary ability to perceive the entire field in a way that transcended his normal spatial awareness, showing off how incredible these new eyes truly were. Isagi ran down the field, getting into blind spots, moving around defenders, and creating openings for others, as he allowed his team to pass it ahead, with one of their attacking wings getting the ball. Isagi was able to move into space instantly, allowing himself to be seen. "Right here, damn it. Let's win right now." The ball then skids across the ground, and Isagi runs to meet it. Still, a defender was on his back, and he was in for trouble. "You fell for it." Isagi then flicks the ball, spinning around him, and then now has an open shot. Just one more step. That's all I need. One more. But this is when he's hit by another defender, as he's forced to complete a left-footed shot. But it goes into the net, as now they were just down 1 goal, and with the help of his team, Isagi makes a comeback. With this declaration, in their first season, the team begins to grow together throughout their years in junior high together. Soon, their final season was approaching, and Isagi had grown even more than we expected, far surpassing his original canon counterpart, as he was able to tap into his ego in his moments of need, as it was almost an awakened state that he was using. But now, he's more excited than ever, as in the first match, he would showcase how incredible he was and how incredible his skills camps had made him. Isagi in their first practice shows off his new linear strike, which is an improved version of the direct shot, almost like his own version of the Kaiser Impact. The coaches are in complete shock, as this shot seemed like something that wouldn't develop until high school, but here it was. In the heart of their junior high tournament, Isagi found himself in a position that he had always dreamed of, carrying his team to the regional championship. A talented and dedicated striker, Isagi's passion for the sport of football and his relentless work ethic had always seemed to set him apart from his peers. With each match presenting a tougher challenge than the last, Isagi's shooting prowess emerged as a deciding factor in most of their games. The journey continued with a fierce determination as Isagi led his team through the early rounds of the tournament with his precise and powerful shots on goal. In the face of formidable opponents, Isagi's ability to find the back of the net in crucial moments proved to be the difference maker time and time again, as his teammates rallied around his leadership, drawing inspiration from his unwavering focus, but also jealousy, as they too wanted to succeed. As the competition had intensified, Isagi faced off against increasingly skilled opponents, each match pushing him to dig deeper and showcase his full potential as it was now. With the weight of his team's hopes resting upon his shoulders, Isagi rose to the occasion time and time again, delivering outstanding performances that left spectators in awe of his talent and tenacity. In the pivotal moment of the regional championship match, with victory hanging on the balance, Isagi unleashed a series of jaw-dropping shots that left the opponent reeling. His ability to rise to the occasion under pressure and delivered when it mattered the most solidified his reputation as a rising star in the world of football, as it was no surprise when Isagi had received an invitation from many club teams and also Blue Lock, an unknown training program stated to be the nurturing place for the next generation of elite strikers. Soon entering Blue Lock with many others, he soon is face to face with Jinpachi Ego. The same happens as Jinpachi Ego begins his speech, introducing himself and many others. This was going to be very interesting for them. Isagi wondered just how many rivals he had here, and what was in store for him, and just how much he was going to improve while being here. Blue Lock begins soon, with the game of tag on the first day, and let's just keep him on Team Z for this story as well. For this portion of the test, Isagi sits out. He dodges the ball when it comes his way, but when they tried to hit him, it was no good. With 5 seconds left and the time winding down, he moved faster than anyone could see, stealing the ball and then turning towards Monk. Slamming his foot into it, he eliminates him. Monk claims that there was no time, but Isagi states that there was 1 second left, where he could have trapped it or at least headed the ball into someone else. Jinpachi Ego agrees with this sentiment, sending Monk home back to the temple. Now, with Team Z having their starting 11, they begin their journey, as their daily training was pretty impactful. Isagi's body would be more developed here due to his upbringing. However, he was still pushed to his very limit, although this training improved his leg strength to a great deal, which improved his range and his abilities with his left and right linear strike, extending his range on the pitch. His stamina training would also be benefited to his metavision, making him be able to use it for half of a match instead of just a short quick burst. Still, there was a lot more about the ability he needed to figure out for himself, and that would only come from experience in intense matches. Luckily for our hero, that was coming soon. Revealing the first phase of Blue Lock, Jinpachi Ego stated that they needed to win a certain amount of matches, and he told Team Z to prepare themselves for what was truly coming, as we then would see them standing across from Team X, with their team having the same lineup as in the original, as Isagi was a striker. Going into the match, we would see Baru standing as tall as ever. Isagi would soon pass the ball back before rushing forward. However, the players begin crowding themselves, and Baru is the one to come out with the ball. As he makes a dribble move on Kuon, Isagi appeared, stealing the ball and then turning around, beginning his own counter, activating Metavision. He claims that he'll do it himself if they won't. Defenders come from left and right as he would evade them. This gains the attention of Anri, who points it out to Ego, as he began watching as well. With 2 defenders stepping in his way, Isagi performs his linear strike with his extended range, earning them the first goal of many more that would come after. But Baru would score his own, which eventually led this game to come down to one final play. Isagi was tired by this time, but so was Baru. He would have to do something unexpected if he wished to win. The teams exchanged over and over again, eventually leading to a Team Z corner kick. Kira was the one taking it, and Isagi was inside the box, with Baru guarding him, telling him that this was it. But Isagi stated that this was a moment he was waiting for. He thought about everything that he's done so far, but what he was missing. How could it be that simple that he overlooked it? Adding one final piece to the puzzle, he ran out of the box raising his hand, and Kira, seeing this, sent it his way. Not even for Isagi to trap it, he only twists his body midair, performing a spinning volley, as this was the goal that wins them the match, as no one had expected it and didn't even know how to defend it. With this final piece being added to the puzzle, Isagi was excited. The next matches pose no real challenge at all, as we get to see Isagi being the one to use his team to evolve himself further, but it also causes some sort of butterfly effect, which forces players like Kunigami, Raichi, Bachira, Kira, and even Chigiri to keep up with their own respective evolutions. The last real match that we would see in this stage is the match between Team Z and V, as they enter the match against Nagi, Zantetsu, and Reo, as Isagi was electrified. The thrill of playing against his team, not because they were strong, but because his victory would lead him into the next stage. Isagi presses ahead at the moment the game begins. Ryo is the one to man-mark Isagi, but he constantly loses sight of him. Turning his head, we see that Isagi trapped a pass from Kunigami. What the? Zantetsu, still believing this early attack not to pose a threat, he dashed back. His speed still wouldn't be enough to catch up to Isagi, who would dribble around his opponents with ease. These two were so far behind him, so he continues to dominate in this match. Of course, Nagi would hit his own stride, with him scoring many times as well. But Isagi's true ego proved to be too much here, leading Team Z to going undefeated within the first phase. Next, of course, when moving on to the next phase, Team Z learns that it was more than just them in this facility. With this realization, Isagi calculated that there were even more strikers who stood in his way. As he was in thought, Itoshi Rin appeared, making his declaration with his warm-ups. Moving into the next test, Isagi smiled, knowing he wanted to follow him. Our protagonist makes it through the large doors as he sees that the keeper appeared. With the ball flying out from the wall behind him, Isagi was shocked and turned, slamming his leg into it, scoring. 99 more shots were needed as it would appear on the screen, and Isagi welcomed this challenge with open arms, smiling. Eventually, leaving this test, he walks through a little exhausted, but with metavision still active. With Ren seeing him, he asks himself, just what could he be doing in there to exhaust himself that much? It was a simple task. Isagi looks up, noticing him as well, sitting there alone, and Isagi would join them. Waiting for a third, Ryu would be the one to appear, calling the two of them stylish for beating him here. Now they could move on and wait for the next team of three. The first team of three that makes it to them is Kira, Nagi, and Reo. And based on Kira's personality, I don't think it's a stretch to say that he'd actually leave Bachira, unlike Isagi. This match was set and it started with Ren's famous Trivela shot from half field that goes in. Seeing it firsthand, Isagi began thinking while the puzzle pieces swirled around him. The game continued and he was on defense. There was nothing out of the ordinary that had happened, as Ryu was the one to intercept the pass from Reo to Nagi, sending it to Isagi. With Kira still being the one to guard him, he could pass it to Ren for another easy goal. But who the hell wants to pass? No, instead, Isagi could hear his own voice, screaming at him. Take on the challenge, right here, right now. If you wish to become the best, you can let no one deter you from your goals. With Metavision now active, Isagi completely shakes off Kira, now having enough space for a linear strike. But someone yells out not too fast, as Reo was seen putting an arm out, throwing Isagi off balance. Ren was the one to call Reo lukewarm, as Isagi then flicked the ball right over him. Now opening up his body, he could perform a direct volley. Kira turned back, looking at the two monsters, not knowing if there was a way to beat them at all. Isagi and Ren dominate here with relative ease, as there was no way for them to stop them. But with Isagi having the last goal, Ren put him on his radar a little bit more here. Their playstyles were very opposite, which makes this more interesting as well. With the final goal being scored, they now need to pick another teammate. Ren wouldn't care, so he leaves it up to RMC and Ryu, who ultimately decide on Mikage Reo. Moving on to the next area, Isagi knew it would take some time before anyone else could challenge them. So going to the practice stage, Isagi connected another piece that he could be missing. His own body. It could only last so long. So instead of skill training, he begins working out, making himself a more all-around threat and making his body more balanced, making sure no muscle was more than the other. Days go by before Nagi and Kira return, now with Bachira and Baru on their side. An interesting group that walks into the workout room to challenge Isagi, as he would flip his hair back, getting the sweat out of his face, and he looks directly at them. "Oh, you're back already." Yeah, bring it. The two teams later meet on the pitch, as we now are more ready than ever to see this match. Ren has the ball, and of course runs ahead alone. Isagi follows him, with two behind him. Ren makes it to open space, but the shot is deflected by Kira, who has his own spatial awareness. Although this deflection wasn't controlled, a free ball was in play and lands near Isagi. Not bad. But here, Nagi and Bacho are the ones to sandwich him, trying to make it so he can't score, but Isagi bodies him off, and the first goal. He tells them to make this more interesting for him. Fired up more than ever, Isagi, when starts again, runs right by them to go for the steal on defense, pressing Kira before he was able to even get a pass off. And with this steal, he was now looking towards goal, but Ren and Baru were here as well. Isagi smiled, telling them both that he's bored, stopping completely before switching directions, without any effort at all, losing them. Isagi had a devilish smile on his face while scoring the second goal, and the constant back and forth of these teams, they were actually interesting, but the match was decided by a final goal from Itoshi Rin. And with that, Kira had lost to him again, but Isagi was choosing who they would take. Looking at how defeated they were, Isagi was actually more interested in one person than any others. Megami Bachira and his monster are chosen to move on. Walking through another set of doors, Jinpachi Ego told them that they were doing great. Their skills were getting more polished by the day. But, if he was completely honest, they haven't had a real, true challenge yet. So how are their skills going to be up against players like these? The World 5 team appears on the screen, as that was their next challenge, and Isagi noticed a lot of them were famous. Later on, they were seen walking onto the pitch, as both Isagi and Ren are recognized. Isagi from how dominant he was in his junior high football career, and Ren from the accomplishments of his brother. And from the beginning of the match, it was clear that the World 5 dominated with their exceptional teamwork and individual talents. However, Isagi and his teammates did not back down easily, and despite the odds stacked against them, they put up a valiant fight, showcasing their resilience and determination to compete at the highest level. Isagi managed to score a brilliant goal with his linear strike, showcasing his skill and ability to read the pitch perfectly. And Ren, he also stepped up, scoring another crucial goal, showing his unwavering spirit and trying to separate himself from the image that they had of him based on his brother. Although Isagi and Ren's efforts were commendable, the World 5's superior strength and strategy ultimately proved to be too much to overcome. But despite the loss, Isagi was excited. The world of football, it still had these type of caliber players that were awaiting him. And from what we see, the journey or road that Isagi had envisioned up until now would stretch even further thanks to this match. Moving on, there was a short period of waiting time before Ego and his ideals are challenged, leading him to make the proposition of a brand new match. The U20 versus Blue Lock 11 is announced, and now the team must be assembled. We all know how this arc begins, with each player who scored being separated on the teams, but here Isagi scored as well. So instead, he'd be on a team with Nagi. With each of these matches being dominated by him, he wasted no time in earning the starting striker position, with Ren being a little bit lower because of Shido blocking his path, but still, I believe he'd make the starting lineup as well. And the biggest change to this lineup is of course having Mikage Ryo be where Isagi would usually start, meaning that Nagi is taking out of the lineup for now, as Ego was running a 4-4-2 formation, with Isagi and Ren being up front. Even though they didn't work well together, they worked well around each other. And now, the stage was set, so we can skip to the day of the match, where Isagi ignored everyone around him in the tunnel. The puzzle pieces swarmed around his body as he began thinking about everything. The World 5 match did teach him a lot, and he plans to utilize what he's learned right here and now. Walking out to be greeted by Japan, Isagi knew that this alone would be one of his most important matches that he played in. With the beginning, Isagi ran ahead, passing the ball off to Ren. He dribbled through the field until reaching his very own brother. These two exchanged in battle, but Isagi had enough. He had enough of waiting, coming from the side and stealing it from them and bursting off. Ren, seeing him do this, wondered why. It seemed so familiar, but then he thought back to the World 5 match. Damn it, he's adapting and using their skills as well? This is crazy. While Rin was in thought, his brother told him that Isagi was in a class of his own. And this class was one that was under him, but Rin still hasn't met it yet or reached it. Isagi then uses Ryo to his advantage, getting himself open for a volley that made Ryo realize that Nagi might not be the one that he wants to follow after all. But still, he had hope for Nagi. But this goal, it was a declaration to the world of football that couldn't be unheard. The new age of strikers was here, and Isagi was leading the charge. The U20 team still had nothing to lose here, and they were nothing to play around with. Each one of them had their own unique strengths that led them not one, but two goals that left Blue Lock dumbfounded. The first goal was scored by Toshi Sai, and the next by Sendo, who got a lucky header off of his pass. Here is where the second half had ended, after the back and forth. And since Sendo had scored here, and they were up by 1 goal, they actually didn't want to sub in Shido. So now when returning, Isagi began thinking about his life as a striker, and what this truly meant for him. He needed to focus now more than ever. Rin was able to get the goal to tie, but they needed one more if they wanted to win. Something was truly missing, as Isagi might have figured it out. The stress from this situation would fully unlock his true ego, something that could boost him to his highest level. Isagi now has the ball at his feet, with the clock winding down. He needed to make a play before it was over, but just what could he do? The defenders crowded him, leaving him no space to create his real or his own ideal. No, I need to rewrite everything in my own image. If the path isn't perfect and it isn't available for me, I must create my own. Isagi's eyes widen, as in his mind another piece connects to the overall puzzle that builds him as a striker. Seeing his options to pass, he refuses, entering what we know as flow. Isagi spins around the defenders and makes a path for himself. With them now being behind him, he's headed towards the middle. Itoshi Sai told him not to get all ahead of himself, and out of all the strikers, he did amuse him the most. Isagi still was blocking out all the noise as we see each of his dribble moves slowly breaking down the prodigy. Isagi and Sai clash with their own respective flows, bursting throughout the area. He's good. Actually, you're quite impressive, Isagi. Isagi continuously shifts his movements, growing as he does so. They become more precise, quicker, and even more efficient. Itoshi Sai was shocked. Could he be? No, there's no way he could be evolving with each step. No, not even that. With each breath he takes. We then see Isagi moving at a high level before making it past Rin, and his brother would crash into him. Isagi speeds off alone, with Sai chasing after him. Isagi's eyes no longer resembled that of Metavision, but instead they had their own loading pattern, as if he was downloading information. He gets right by defenders and was now opening up for a shot. Still, Itoshi Sai pressed his shoulder. I commend you, Yoichi Isagi. You've truly gained my attention and respect. But here is where you fail. Isagi then smirks. Not yet. Cutting off Sai by doing a chop into a feint that gets him by Aiku as well. Now, performing his own Trivela shot that slams into the strings of the net, and Jinpachi Ego raises his hand exclaiming victory for Blue Lock, and with everyone around him jumping around Isagi in excitement that they won this match. This was truly amazing. Everything here does remain the same after, as each player returns home for a short while before getting a text. It's time to enter Blue Lock's next phase. Isagi returns to Blue Lock and sees some of the U20 players, but was shocked. When the new phase was truly announced, he didn't actually know where he wished to play. As he thought about it further, he decided the best place for him to go was actually Germany. With Noel Noah as his master, he could work to adapt right under the world's #1. Entering the wing, where he was met with his first real challenge in Michael Kaiser, who establishes that he is the ace and striker of this team. But Kunigami had also returned from the wildcard program. The teams begin training, and it's clear to everyone that the #1 will be rivaled by Isagi. Their first match comes before they know it. Playing against Spain, Isagi was on the bench due to Noah believing Kunigami worked better with the team than he did. This was until the moment where Kunigami costed them a goal, causing Isagi to be subbed in for him. With Isagi now on the field, he sprang into action. Since he was able to tap into the flow state at will now, Isagi could more or less control it within his mind. Finding this game to be amusing, he heads up the field getting a pass that forced him to pass it back. However, he wouldn't. Seeing this is what Kaiser wanted, Isagi presses forward, dodging defenders, and now shifting the attention to himself, making it known to the Egoist League. He scores the second goal for Bayern Munich in this match, making it so that Levinho subbed into the game, as he calls the young strikers boring to watch and plans to show them how to end this match. However, Noah was subbing as well, telling him that that's not how it's gonna go, with the two masters basically countering each other out. It was up to Kaiser and Isagi to finish this match, with Kaiser at the peak of his own performance and Isagi going in for a run. He tries to steal the final goal from the new Gen 11 striker, but has no luck here, as Kaiser leads them to a 3-1 victory, with 2 goals to him and 1 goal for Isagi. But with this 1 goal, Isagi's value does increase, but he needed more than that just to beat Kaiser. The team's training for the next match would be intensified, as we see Isagi in the weight room more and more. His strength and speed are his main focus as of now. If he wants to become the best in his own way, his body has to keep up with his mind, as his next match would test this, as it was against England and Nagi. So, as they would enter their match, Reo claimed that he would help Nagi defeat Isagi here, and prove that they will be the ones to bring Japan a World Cup. Isagi wondered who he was talking about, not really remembering Nagi, but then seeing him, staring him down, as if nothing had changed at all. This was interesting to say the least as the match began, with Manshine taking the first goal, and I believe it would be Chigiri who was able to unleash his 44 Panther shot. Seeing how each of them developed with Isagi, Kaiser wasn't impressed. Isagi began adapting while Kaiser activated Metavision, running up the field. The two ravaged the English players, and with both of them pressing forward, Bayern Munich had a supporting cast as well, and it kept their defenders on their toes. Kaiser was being man-marked, which actually allowed Isagi to get more open, trapping the ball with Reo on his back. Isagi noticed this, but it seemed he wasn't worried at all. But Reo tells him that he's out of range for a shot, only for Isagi to recreate his perfect trivela that we saw in the U20 match, as many believe that this goal was some sort of fluke or just plain luck. But with Isagi using it again to score here, it seems that the world was at his fingertips. Infuriating Michael Kaiser, he told Ness to prepare himself, as he needed to work to crush Isagi before he could evolve any further. Ness, knowing this, began guarding and watching Isagi's every move. Isagi, however, was focused on Nagi, who was trying to get a goal that could lead them to victory. Isagi, however, intercepted Reo before he could pass to Nagi, and then he tries to show off his new copy style when copying Itochi's side, but Isagi breaks through it, stealing it. You call that an imitation? I've overcome and adapted to those moves long ago. While watching, Isagi entered the flow state as he was ready. However, Ness was pressing him, telling Isagi that this is where it ends. Isagi smirked, dropping the ball off to Corona, performing a 1-2 pass to get around Ness and getting further up the field. Isagi continuously adapts, getting closer and closer to the goal, until he's forced to contain a cross from Corona. With the goal on the horizon, Michael Kaiser and Agi both appear. Isagi still beats them in the air, performing a bicycle kick on the ball, as it goes into the top corner, shocking everyone and Noah. Kaiser was almost foaming at the mouth from rage, and this game continues on, with the Masters soon subbing in. Isagi is the first to adapt to Noah and Chris Prince, stepping into another realm of football. Still, Kaiser is able to stop Isagi from getting a hat trick, earning his own goal, and the match ends, leaving Nagi distraught at his own failures. And with this win and 2 goals under his belt, Isagi's value greatly increased, but there was much more standing in his way. Italy and their Ubers were next on the list. With Don Lorenzo on their team, the Ubers were able to contain Kaiser when playing against him for a little bit. That was until Isagi began to truly take over the team by himself. Isagi scored not one, but 2 early goals, back to back, that led the charge. With Lorenzo now focusing on him as well, they try to use the same strategy with Baru to score their own goals. However, Kaiser, Isagi, and Ness saw right through it. Now, they had possession of the ball, and it seemed that this would be where the match might end. At the height of their performance, they press ahead. Kaiser gets off his famous technique, but it's blocked by Don Lorenzo, and the ball seems like it's completely out of play here, until we see Isagi jumping to trap it. The puzzle pieces of luck then surround him, as he claims that he'll adapt to any concept thrown at him. He's then able to get it down, but has no options, as Iki Nico is guarding him close with Aiku behind him. Thrown into a sticky situation, Isagi slams his foot on the ball, making it hit Nico before going out of bounds. Isagi then runs over to the sidelines, requesting Yo Hayori to be placed into the match. And since Isagi has already shown many good results throughout his time on or in Germany, Noah has no problem with this at all. This is when the two of them completely controlled this match. Isagi's constant evolution was forcing Yo Hayori to grow at an insane rate, and the Masters would as well sub in, as now this match was getting more interesting. Still, Isagi was going for a hat trick, but there were many people in his way, and he begins to show off how far he's gotten though, as the final play ends up coming down to a 1v2 against Baru and Snuffy. Isagi, while in the flow state, is able to show off how he's integrated the previous master's abilities into his own style, showing off his dribbling and his strength. But then out of nowhere, his speed, as he bursted with speed, catching everyone, even Kaiser, off guard. And with that, Isagi still has to beat Aiku, but he's able to do a left-footed linear strike that wins the game. And with Isagi's first hat trick in the Neo Egoist League, his value had skyrocketed. And since by the time of me writing this, as of now, the PXG match is still going on, so I'll save it for another time, and I'll let your imagination take over for the rest of this story. I hope you enjoyed this one, and this one-shot idea, and if you want to see more just like it, subscribe and like the video. This is Zero, and I'll catch you all on the next one.